In today's video, I'm going to show you some terrible mistakes that can embarrass you during an important dinner. Hi, how are you? I am Juliana Santiago, an etiquette consultant and co-founder of Institute of Etiquette and Protocol, the Institute of Etiquette and Protocol. And today I'm going to give you some tips and tricks so you won't embarrass yourself at an important dinner. So if you want to stop making mistakes at the table, watch this video until the end because I'm sure it will help you a lot. The first point is for you to understand how to use the napkin correctly. Many people don't know how to use a cloth napkin and end up getting confused during this process. The ideal way is to use it by gently dabbing like this on your mouth. I don't recommend that you rub the napkin. That can be bad for you because it might even remove your makeup if you're wearing any. And it can also make your napkin really dirty. Of course, the napkin is made to get dirty so we can clean ourselves with it. But the most delicate way to use a cloth napkin is to gently dab and then place it back on your lap. Remember that the cloth napkin should always be on your lap. It can be open or folded in half. It's up to you. The use of cutlery is always another point that raises a lot of questions. It's important to notice that if there is more than one piece of cutlery on the table, like in this case here, you should always start your meal from the outside in. So, in this case, the cutlery that will be used first are the ones that are farther out, and then we use the cutlery that is closer to the charger, to the plate. Remember to hold the cutlery lightly. So avoid holding them with too much force using your arms. So always try to hold them lightly with delicacy. You can definitely use the fork with your left hand, which is the most European and also British way of using cutlery. Or you can also use the fork facing upwards, like you would hold a pen, which is the more American style. You can choose, both ways are correct, and you can decide which one is more interesting for you and also which one you can do more precisely, okay? But be careful with the way you hold your cutlery. Don't hold the cutlery too close to the tip, nor too close either to the area where we touch the food, right? Where the food is. So always remember to hold it with precision and delicacy. During a dinner, it's a very interesting moment for us to talk with other people. So it's actually essential for us to think that the process of using the cutlery, the napkin, the glasses, it needs to be something practical for you that you really know and master these processes. And with that, you'll be able to talk more with the people who are at the table with you. So this moment at the table, this exchange, this time for conversation is very important. And you shouldn't be thinking about what you should do, how to use the napkin, the silverware, or how to hold a glass. Focus on the present moment during conversations. And during this moment of conversation, it's very interesting for us to also pay attention to a few points. Because during a dinner, during a moment when we're at the table, exchanging experiences and conversations with other people, it's essential for us to remember that everyone needs to have the right to speak. So avoid monopolizing the conversation, avoid being the only person who speaks at that table, who is present in that environment. Give others the opportunity to share their ideas, to tell their news. This makes you a much more pleasant person. Because there's no use having control over the processes at the table, having this knowledge of table etiquette, if you can't also be and apply basic etiquette rules during a dinner. And monopolizing a conversation without letting other people share their opinions and news is a huge lack of respect and certainly a lack of etiquette as well. Another common mistake is putting your cell phone on the table. I know that nowadays we have the habit of putting our cell phone on the table because we're afraid something urgent might happen, something might come up at work and someone might need to talk to us at the last minute, or there might be an emergency with your child. And I know this because I also have a small child, and I know that at many times we get really anxious and worried, wondering if something is happening, and we end up leaving the cell phone right next to us. If you want to keep your cell phone close to you on the table, you need to let people know, because according to traditional etiquette rules, it's not polite or proper to leave anything on the table. So, whether it's a cell phone, keys, purses, wallets, makeup, medicine, any of these items should not be left on the table. So, if you really need to keep your cell phone close to you, you can, for example, leave it on a chair next to you or on your lap. Or even if you really want to leave it on the table, let the other people know why you want to keep your phone nearby, because you really need to get news about your child, that you're worried because you left them somewhere and you're afraid something might happen. So it's important that you show this concern. But if you're at an extremely formal dinner, I really don't recommend that you leave your cell phone on the table. Of course, in more informal situations, more in our daily lives with friends, we can even talk to the person who wants to leave their cell phone nearby. But in more formal situations, I don't recommend it, okay? And it's interesting to mention that even if you need to leave your cell phone on the table, worried about your child or something that might happen at work, don't keep fiddling with your cell phone, just leave it there. Just as a safety measure, only in case something happens. So don't keep fiddling with your cell phone. During a dinner, I know a lot of people like to take pictures and capture the moments. If you want to do that, take the picture, then put your cell phone away. Avoid staying there, checking notifications, WhatsApp groups, or even things on social media. One interesting thing we should always pay attention to is the noise you make while eating. If you have the habit of listening to your food while you eat, when you chew, if you can hear what you're eating, the sound of the food between your teeth, your tongue, be careful, because other people might be hearing it too. Observe the way you chew, even at home. At your next meal in your own home, see how your chewing process is. It's important that you do this quietly. So start paying attention to the way you behave during a meal, so you can apply the things I'm teaching you in this video. Because there's always a lot of new things here on the channel, right? And those who are subscribed to the channel always know all the new things that happen here. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe now. This is an amazing opportunity for you to get etiquette content straight to your phone, right on your YouTube account. Don't forget to like the video too, it really helps a lot. Have you already liked it? Can I count on your like? It's very polite, right? You come here, like the videos, and support the content here. I'll be very happy with your support. Another thing, which is also a mistake people make at a formal dinner, is not keeping up with the pace of the meal. I don't know if you're someone who usually eats very quickly, but if you are, it's important for you to pay attention to this, okay? The same thing happens if you're someone who eats very slowly. Of course, eating slowly is, in my opinion, a smaller mistake than eating too quickly. After all, more people eat quickly than slowly. But if you're someone who, like, when everyone else is already finishing their meal, you're still at the beginning, it's also a good idea for you to adjust, just like people who eat too quickly. If you're someone who has the habit of eating like in a desperate way, be careful. You need to keep up with all those people who are sharing the table with you at that moment, especially if you are the host. The host has to keep up with their guests. And then if the guest notices that everyone has already finished eating, even the host of the evening, they might feel uncomfortable and not feel good there. And since our role as hosts is always to make other people feel good and welcome by us at our events, it's important for you as the hostess to have the sensitivity to keep up with your guests and observe the people who eat more slowly, so you can be with them at their pace during the meal. Another big faux pas we have when it comes to table etiquette is picking at your teeth during the meal. I know that a lot of people already know that picking your teeth isn't polite. And if you didn't know, well, now you do. Even though it's something that a lot of people know is wrong, many people still have the habit of picking their teeth, right? But anyways, sometimes you don't have the habit of picking your teeth, but you do tend to use your fingernail to clean your teeth, or even use a fork, right, to try to clean them. If you notice that there's something on your tooth, something that's really bothering you, or that could somehow be making you look unkempt, right? Sometimes you feel like your tooth is dirty and that it might be visible to other people, so it's a good idea to go to the restroom to remove it. So you excuse yourself from the people, step away, go to the bathroom, and then come back, okay? You don't need to use other accessories, items, your hand or your fingernail to remove food that's stuck in your teeth, okay? And really, understanding table etiquette practices and also general etiquette and behavior will help you improve a lot during meals so you won't make any more mistakes. Toasting is something that's part of our tradition, right? We always joke, oh, before drinking, you have to make a toast, right? It's something we do very often. But do you actually know how to make a toast the right way? Ideally, the glasses don't touch each other. So ideally, we shouldn't clink one glass against another. Why? Because most glasses, especially when it comes to wine or sparkling wine glasses, are made of crystal, and this can end up causing the glasses to break. So the ideal is always to make a toast like this, raising your glass. There's no need to touch them together. But if you like it and have this habit, well, in informal situations, we can actually do this practice. But understand that if you go to an event and people don't touch your glass, that's not a problem with you because they're doing it the right way, okay? Another point is also refusing the food that was offered to you. We need to remember that even if you don't like the dish that was served or the option the host chose for you, that person prepared everything with a lot of care and made a point of selecting a menu to please you, right? She welcomed you into her home and threw a special party. And it's important for us to have that sensitivity. And we need to think that, for example, not liking a food is different from having an allergy to what was served. If you have an allergy and really can't eat shrimp because otherwise you'll break out in hives, of course you won't eat it just to please someone. But for example, if you just don't like shrimp, wouldn't it be nice to at least eat a little bit to be polite to the person who prepared everything to welcome you? Of course, when the host invites people, it's a good idea for them to check with their guests. But people don't always have the habit of checking preferences when they're going to invite someone. That's why if you're served a dish you don't really like, try to eat at least a little bit to be polite, which will be very kind of you. For example, in the case of a dish with shrimp, just put a little bit of shrimp and more of the other things that was served. It's important for you to be polite, just as the other person is being polite with you as well. And if you want to know more about guest behavior, I've already made a video talking about etiquette rules for impolite guests. The video is right here if you haven't watched it yet. I'm sure you'll love it. Just a reminder that the information about my etiquette and good manners training is here in the description of this video, okay? I'll be waiting for you there. Remember, you have a special discount to join this training because you're my follower here on YouTube. That's all for now. Thanks a lot and see you next time.